A relatively unknown studio until a few years ago, A24 has quickly picked up a reputation for putting out the most bone-chilling horror films. These films are sure to make your nights uncomfortable, so in this video we're going to rank them on a similar tier list, where the S tier implies I still have trouble sleeping at night, and the C tier, I slept through the movie. As for the rest of the tiers, you'll see them as the video progresses. What's the best A24 horror film ever? Stick around and find out. Under the Skin 2013. Under the Skin builds its premise on a very familiar terror that lurks in every one of us, the fear of the other. Except director Jonathan Glazer does it in a way that feels more like a documentary than a movie, somehow making it more tense and scary than it would have been otherwise. Scarlett Johansson plays the role of a seductress who turns the desire of unsuspecting men against them, robbing them of their skin to be used by other aliens. An important attention to detail is the fact that not all of the men Scarlett picks up are actors, which further enhances the feeling of the movie being set in our own reality. The movie's bound to stay with you for a while, and for this reason is rightfully deserving of the A tier. I couldn't sleep right for a month. Tusk 2014. It's weird that this was the follow-up to Under the Skin, because it might be the worst horror film A24's ever made, and it's not a surprise that Kevin Smith was at the helm. The premise was simple enough. An insufferable podcast host is kidnapped by a deranged scientist who slowly transforms him into a walrus. Business as usual, right? But the concept is so poorly executed that it becomes hard to watch. The film relies heavily on shock value and body horror, with none of the depth underneath. The tonal shifts between horror, humor, and psychological thriller are abrupt and can make the movie feel a bit all over the place. It earns itself a place in the C tier. The Witch 2015. Almost like they wanted the world to forget they ever made Tusk, A24 Films came out with this banger a year later. Robert Eggers is a beast of a director, and what better way to announce his arrival than The Witch? After their family is deemed a heretic, a Puritan family in the 17th century is banished from their community. Outside the protection of the town and church, the family is forced to settle near a sinister forest, where an ancient evil lurks in the shadows, a witch. One by one, the family falls prey to the witch's insidiousness, starting with their youngest. As the family is torn apart from within, Thomasin, the firstborn child, is faced with a choice to live morally or to live deliciously. The film explores themes of isolation, temptation, and the pervasiveness of evil. The mix of psychological horror and folklore makes for a bone-chilling experience that's bound to give you some sleepless nights. S tier, without a doubt. Green Room 2015. This film's very unlike The Witch, which is a very good thing. Green Room follows a punk rock band who's having trouble with money and venues. Lo and behold, a guy that interviews them sets them up to play at a club in the woods. One catch though, the club is frequented by a group of violent neo-Nazis. The concert goes smoothly enough, but the band sets itself up for trouble when they become unwitting eyewitnesses to a murder. Shit hits the fan when the Nazis lock the band in the green room, fearing they'll come clean to the cops. The band's struggle for survival makes for one of the most tense and visceral movies in recent memory. Patrick Stewart's Hannibal-esque performance as the neo-Nazi leader further accentuates the movie's atmosphere. Though it is not the horror that we're familiar with, it's still pretty hard to stomach. The movie earns a place in the B tier. St. Maud 2017. St. Maud follows Maud, a devoutly religious and deeply troubled nurse who believes she has been chosen by God for a divine mission. She is assigned to care for Amanda, a former dancer battling a terminal illness. As the film progresses, Maud grows increasingly concerned with saving Amanda's soul, and one misguided step after another, her sanity unravels as the film descends into a chilling and psychologically intense horror. Contrary to the popular belief, the film is less about religion and more about mental instability and obsession. Morfydd Clark delivers a mesmerizing performance as Maud, making her descent into madness both haunting and captivating. I was even more so captivated by Clarke when I realized this was her debut. All things considered, this film earns its place in the B tier. The first few nights were rough. The Killing of a Sacred Deer 2017. Drawing inspiration from Greek folklore, The Killing of a Sacred Deer revolves around cardiovascular surgeon Stephen Murphy and his family, whose lives are upended when a teenage acquaintance, Martin, curses them for a past medical event. One by one, Stephen's family members become paralyzed and become unable to eat, until Martin presents a solution. Stephen must kill one of them to lift the curse. Colin Farrell and Barry Keoghan set the stage for a psychological horror that is as terrifying as it is unpredictable. It earns its place in the B tier. Hereditary 2018. In my opinion, Hereditary is the peak of all things A24 horror is about. It features a family that's in the process of grieving the death of their secretive grandmother. However, what feels like a family drama slowly descends into supernatural horror, as it turns out their grandmother was a part of some sort of satanic cult and is still pulling the strings from beyond the grave. The sustained fear and tension make the third act of the film feel really impactful when things really get out of hand and everyone and everything is up in flames, quite literally. S tier, no brainer really. Midsommar 2019. Midsommar's one of those movies that just creeps under your skin. You probably won't be able to shake it from your mind decades after you watch it. The film's heroine, Dani, is just coming to terms with an appalling family tragedy that resulted in the death of her mom, dad, and sister. She tries to replace her grief by traveling to a midsummer festival with her boyfriend and his friends. Unfortunately, her vulnerable state leaves her as a prime candidate to be exploited by a sinister cult. Florence Pugh's acting and the film's world building makes for a really involved and immersive experience that ultimately hits hard when the film climaxes. There's also the fact that the film takes place entirely in the day, which somehow makes the horror more off-putting. You have to see it to believe it. S tier. Lighthouse 2019. Unlike anything like Midsommar is Lighthouse, a film mostly devoid of light and colour. It's also the film where Robert Pattinson truly announces his presence, before he truly actually did it with Tenet and Batman. The film is a celebration of old-timey cinema as the protagonists battle isolation and madness. It's unlike anything you'll ever see, and for that reason earns it a place in the A tier. False Positive 2021. This is another one of those films that lack the nuance to effectively tackle the subject matter. The film centers around a seemingly happy couple, Lucy and Adrian, who are struggling with fertility issues. After several failed attempts to conceive, they seek the help of a renowned fertility doctor, Dr. Hindle, who has a flawless record. Lucy becomes pregnant, but as the pregnancy progresses, she realizes something is amiss. The movie builds up to an ending that doesn't feel revelatory or impactful, but just downright stupid. It belongs in the C tier. Lamb 2021. The problem with this film is that it tries to hide the fact that the couple is raising a half-lamb, half-human hybrid. But if you saw any of the promotional material of the film or glanced at the poster or even did a few mental gymnastics when you saw the name, you'd have seen the big reveal coming. Unfortunately, by this time the film is already 1/3 of the way through its length. The rest of it just fails to justify all that build-up. No surprises with this being in the C tier. That's it folks, our rankings of the best A24 films. Did we miss something? Let us know in the comments.